Voyons le King's Report de ce matin. Donc, je ne sais pas qui est-ce qui va être là. En tout cas, je vais traduire la partie du roi ou la partie spirituelle en fonction de qui va parler. Si c'est comment dire, si c'est Tim Elder qui parle ou alors le second roi. Moi, je suis votre hôte, Michel Beauvais, et je parle de France, donc, et voilà, je prépare donc cette publication. Si vous pouvez laisser un message sur le chat, j'essaierai de vous y répondre. Voilà. Donc aujourd'hui, nous sommes donc jeudi 26 novembre 2020, et donc il y a beaucoup de choses qui évoluent actuellement en politique, en particulier sur la situation des élections présidentielles américaines. Nous savons qu'actuellement Joe Biden s'est élu lui-même président élect, mais ce qui n'a pas aucun sens, c'est pas lui d'ailleurs, ce sont tous les médias qui l'ont, les médias principaux. Mais en fait, dans la réalité, nous savons très bien que ce n'est pas lui qui a encore gagné tant que tous les étapes sont comptabilisées et que c'est certifié. Et vous voyez, d'ailleurs hier soir, eh bien la Pennsylvanie n'a pas été certifiée justement puisqu'il y a eu un audit, pas un audit, mais enfin une écoute des différentes personnes qui se sont plaintes et qui ont fait ce qu'on appelle un défi, c'est-à-dire qu'ils ont juré de dire la vérité et si sous risque d'aller en prison si ce n'est pas vrai. Donc vraiment c'est important. Voilà. Et donc c'est très important sur ce qui se passe. C'est vraiment une situation extrêmement grave. Donc voilà, nous rentrons dans le rapport du roi avec Tim Elder, co-host, et Greg Noll.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to the King's Report.
Bienvenue
We
dans
will
le
be having
rapport du
Bible
roi.
study and
Nous
weather
avons
report after our interview and
l'étude de
guest
Bible après notre
today.
interview avec
But
notre
first, let's
invité
get to
d'aujourd'hui.
Scripture. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 5 says that Jesus
Révélation
Christ, the faithful
1:5,
witness and the first begotten of the dead,
il est le
and the
premier
prince of the kings of the earth,
témoin
has loved us
et
and washed
premier-
us from our sins by his own
il
blood,
nous a
and hath
aimé, il
made
nous a
us
livrés
kings
de
and priests
de nos péchés par
unto
son
God and to his
sacrifice, et il nous
Father.
a fait un
Folks,
peuple
that
de
is
rois
where
et des prêtres au
our
service de Dieu son Père.
sovereignty comes from.
Et lui,
Doesn't
soit
come
la
from
gloire et le pouvoir et
government, doesn't come
l'éternité.
from bureaucrats,
Ça ne vient pas de
doesn't come from
gouvernement, ça ne vient pas des
Beijing,
bureaucrates, ça
DC,
ne
or
vient pas
Harrisburg, or
par
anywhere else for that matter.
Pékin ou
Comes from Almighty
ou
God,
de
the
gouvernement ou
architect
des
of the
décès.
universe, the
Ça vient
creator
du
of
Créateur,
it all.
de
Well,
notre
today we
Dieu.
are joined
Et
with
aujourd'hui,
Dr. Dan Royale,
Don
who
Royal,
is a
le
certified
docteur,
travel practitioner
c'est un
with Turtle Healing
praticien
Band Clinic in Las Vegas,
dans
Nevada, where he
une
uses
clinique
stem cells
de
and
Las
regenerative
Vegas
medicine
et
products
qui
and protocols for his patients. He also hosts
a mis un protocole pour ses
weekly radio
patients
show, The
et
Royal Treatment, on americamatters.us.
il
where he
a fait une
empowers his
tribune
listeners with
sur
information
le
that
site
they can
Doc
use to
America
achieve optimal health
et
and
il s'occupe de la
wellness.
santé.
Dr. Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, merci de nous.
Thank you for having me.
Merci, docteur.
Well,
merci de m'avoir.
I think you're enjoying the Las Vegas weather out there because you look great and it looks warm.
Well, the sun's out today. It was overcast yesterday, but yes, the sun's out and it will be a warm day. Thank you.
À Los Angeles.
Well, tell us a little bit about your clinic
and
what is a tribal practitioner and of course a Turtle Healing Band clinic.
Et qu'est-ce que vous faites dans cette clinic?
Well, Turtle Healing Band Clinic is an entity that's under the jurisdiction of the Crow Nation. So the federal government gave the Indian nations the right to regulate what's called
de travailler dans cette clinique.
That and so forth. Now, in the United States, we have one board remaining where alternative medicine is still being regulated. That's in the state of Arizona. The state of Nevada lost their homeopathic board. And so it remains to be seen how long the Arizona board will actually last, because currently homeopathic medicine is under attack again by the FDA, as will supplements be. They're claiming that they never went through the FDA approval process, but of course everybody knows that's nonsense since they're all gross, and that means they want to require every single homeopathic and supplement to pay the $2.6 billion price to get their FDA approval. So we provide a safe haven, if you will, for doctors like myself who need dual licensure. That means if you want to practice traditional medicine, which is really the antithesis or the opposite of our sick care disease management system, you need to be licensed with the First Nation Medical Board. That gives them jurisdiction over you and not your state medical board. And then, of course, we have many practitioners who have no home whatsoever. So, for example, the naturopaths, I believe, have licensing boards in 26 states. They do not have one here where I live in Nevada. And so they also need a home where they can have a jurisdiction and safe haven from the Attorney General, because if something goes wrong, they would be sued, if you will, for criminal charges. So we provide a place where this can be done. And we also have a means whereby we can conduct clinical studies. We call them non-interventional studies that do not require FDA intervention or approval.
N'ont pas besoin
well, you mentioned the tribal practicing and tribal medicine. And then, of course, you mentioned homeopathic medicine, etc. What is the difference, for those who may not know, what is the difference between that style of medicine and approaching the body, human body, and human health, and the traditional hospital pharmacological method?
Et les méthodes hospitalières traditionnelles.
Well, first of all, let's understand the American Institute of Homeopathy was established first in this country before the American Medical Association. Now, the problem we have in this country is that the AMA owns the copyrights to all of the coding, particularly the CPT coding. And that gives a monopoly over the practice of medicine. Now, there is a way to combat that with an alternative system called ABC coding, where everything is coded, and that would create a level playing field. But that hasn't been done, although it should be. The problem with the conventional medical approach is it's one-dimensional. So that means they are oriented towards managing the symptoms of your disease, sick care system. There's nothing healthy about it. And if you want to get healthy, your doctor cannot help you. That's the sad fact. They're very stupid in this regard. So the patients actually know more about their doctors. Now, what we practice in our approach to medicine is optimal health and wellness. As I said in the beginning, that's the antithesis or the opposite of what our conventional medical approach does. And we believe that this is critical now and in the future. If you're going to not just survive but thrive, that's the advantage you can have, knowing how to be optimally well, because this is something that society as a whole does not understand how to do when they're invested in drugs and vaccinations, for which we see many problems in my practice and have throughout my 30 years of practicing.
J'ai 30 ans de pratique de ça.
That's fascinating.
C'est fascinant.
In terms of health, that's a big issue now because of the trichome virus and this terrible plague that's released on the earth. And of course, the terrible lockdowns, which is decimating the middle class. And it's a massive distribution of wealth from the middle class to the super class. I mean, churches can't stay open, mom pop shops can't stay open, Walmart can stay open, Amazon can stay open. Any of these big conglomerate organizations that have 90% of their product from China can stay open. China can make all the money in the world, and the U.S. has to shut down. So anyways, that's all, I guess, tangential things to our discussion today. But with the crazy virus, supposed virus floating around, what are the, in terms of optimal health, what should people be doing if you could break it down to under 5 things?
Okay, so let's back up just a minute. The first thing we have to decide, is it really a virus?
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce virus?
That is problem number one.
C'est vraiment le problème numéro 1.
If you're making that assumption, it may take you down the wrong track. When all this started in Wuhan, China, it was the number one 5G city in the world. And then, of course, it broke out on a ship, which was the first 5G ship in the world. New York City also had established 5G antennas throughout its downtown area. And interestingly enough, the number one leading cause of COVID deaths, and I use that term loosely, in the United States is with the Navajo Nation. Now, the Navajo Nation had put up 5G antennas throughout the reservation, and Indian Health Services required them, if we can use that term, to get vaccinated for the flu, using a quadrivalent flu. That means 4 strains of the flu. Now, in order for them to get their government check, they need to be vaccinated. So there's many people who believe that what we're seeing is a combination of 5G and lowering of our immune system through flu vaccinations that is affecting our health. There are many causes for this, and I think if you look at it from this perspective, things might make more sense. So, for example, the Eastern, or I should say European Society of Pathologists, they filed a complaint, if you will, against having to write COVID-19 on the death certificates. The reason is they were not able to isolate COVID-19 from the tissue of any human on autopsy. And so just because someone had a fever or a cough, diagnosing with COVID-19 made no sense when they couldn't find the virus in the body. Now, we do know that the citizens of the world have been exposed to coronavirus for the past 60 years. That's according to the CDC, Center for Disease Control, actually the World Health Organization. So we know that it's part of your normal flora. So we're getting a lot of misinformation. For example, when the media reports new cases, these are people who have simply gone for testing. They've been found to have the coronavirus as part of their normal flora, but they have no symptoms. Also, the way we're going about treating COVID-19 with drugs, antibiotics, a virus, makes no sense at all. So the keys are to be healthy. You have to do things to protect yourself against 5G. I think that's first and foremost. I say that because that's an issue that's becoming increasingly more important. It started out with, let's say, 20,000 satellites, then moved up to 50, now we're at 100,000 satellites, and continuing to escalate. We're talking about 6G coming. These have a frequency that regulates with living tissue. We're talking about humans, plants, and animals. And so in our obsession to cover every square inch of this planet with cell phone coverage, there will be consequences. So the alternative view would be that COVID-19 is really a scapegoat for government culpability in putting their citizens at risk for this 5G exposure. And what would be interesting,
let me just stop you right there, because the 5G is almost like putting your body in a microwave or something like that, right? These waves and frequencies, they will interact and pass through your body, and it obviously is not a natural thing for these incredible, powerful waves at modulating at certain frequencies to be passing through your body.
Well, the scientists of the world have warned the governments for years about the effects of 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. The difference with 5G is these electromagnetic frequencies penetrate your skin, so they're more insidious. Think about crowd control. We used to control crowds with water, with rubber bullets, with tear gas. Now we can do it with micrometer waves that cause doubling over in pain, muscle spasms, and so forth. We're doing it with microwaves. Now, there is technology out there that can be used to counteract this. We refer to it as pulsing electromagnetic fields, but it needs to be the right type. For there are many frauds out there. They are using pulsing electromagnetic fields, but they do not have trade secret technology to protect you against electrosmog. So, for example, there was a study done in Austria where we compared the type of PMF that we use in our office with a competitor, And the competitor that
Ils ont
did
montré
not
que les
protect the
compétiteurs
patient from electrosmog
ne protégeaient
had
pas
an 8-fold
les
increase
patients
in the risk of leukemia for children. So
les
they
patients
do have
des
an
ondes
effect. They can be
électromagnétiques.
helpful, but they
Donc,
can also
ça
be
peut
harmful.
aider, mais ça peut être très
How
dangereux
would you
aussi.
protect yourself
Comment pouvez-vous vous
from 5G, which
protéger,
are 5G,
par
which
exemple, de
are
la
putting everywhere?
5G?
They're trying to put in every city. They're trying to
Comment
bring it to
est-ce
the
qu'on
rural
peut
areas,
faire
etc.
pour se
Is it
protéger?
something that you wear? Is it something
Est-ce qu'on
that
peut
is
mettre
in
quelque chose qu'on peut
that you can put in
porter,
clothing? What is that?
un manteau
that
ou
you
quelque
could use?
chose? Qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire?
That's a very good question,
C'est une
and
bonne
of course very
question.
relevant to our discussion. So
Et
let's
c'est
talk
vraiment
about
une
that.
discussion, on va
So
parler de
some of
ça.
the things that you
Donc,
can
quelque chose que
do
tu peux
are
faire,
to get
c'est
diodes.
déjà
You can actually make your own diode using a copper wire and a bottle cap and put it in your shirt pocket. That's a homemade type of diode, but you can also buy them and put them on your phone. You're most at risk when you're using your phone, you're putting it up to your ear, you're wearing headphones. That's when you're probably most at risk from 5G. So these can be put on your phone, they can be put on your computer. You can get scalar energy devices, but attachments from companies that are designed to protect you or minimize, I should say, your risk to electro smog. There are things you can do in your house. You can turn off your Wi-Fi at night. You can also get magnetic sleep pads. Now, again, there are the real ones and then there are the fake ones. You need magnetic sleep pads that can create a continuous magnetic field and protect you while you're sleeping, but also energize your body. Here's the issue. The Earth's magnetic field has been decreasing for the last 150 years or so. It's now down to 0.5 gauss. Now, years ago, let's say 4,000 years ago, it was at 5 gauss. So we're down 95%. When the Earth's magnetic field reverses, which it is doing and headed towards, then you won't have the energy you need to get up out of your bed. So you need to recharge yourself electromagnetically.
On a besoin de se recharger de manière électromagnétique.
And then you can also use pulsing electromagnetic fields to increase the energy in your body. This is critical. Our bodies need a certain amount of charge to be healthy.
Notre corps a besoin d'un certain nombre de charges pour être en santé.
This sounds over the top. Isn't your body
Est-ce que c'est votre corps
an electromagnetic?
Et le champ
Isn't there electromagnetism flowing through our bodies? Aren't we made up of electromagnetic energy?
Est-ce qu'on est fait
well, yes, we depend on that. And the problem with the 5G and the satellites is they are interfering with the magnetosphere. And that is going to affect the amount of energy we're now getting from the Earth and the atmosphere. So we have to perhaps get from other sources. Your heart obviously needs electricity to run, and so does your entire body. As I mentioned, the body, in order to be healthy, needs a millivolt concentration of 70 or greater. So when it starts dropping, let's say around 60, now you are getting pathology. Maybe you have diabetes. It continues to drop. Now you're down at 30 or less. Now you have cancer. So one of the approaches to the treatment of cancer that we use in our office is to reverse that effect by increasing the millivolt concentration of the patients. For example, we've been doing a study where we use pulsing electromagnetic field for cancer patients, and we're about to publish that study, but we've had virtually 100% success in lowering their cancer antibodies using pulsing electromagnetic fields. We've even had patients completely recover from cancer using this very simple approach in combination with an approach that lowers nagalase, which is an enzyme produced by virus, like the COVID-19, if it exists, and cancer, to inhibit your immune system like a smoke screen from identifying and eliminating them.
Votre corps de ces actions. C'est très intéressant.
Donc, many of your therapies are focused around the rebalancing of this electromagnetic energy, of which our body is already we are already producing that, and of course, I guess recalibrating that. Now,
mais il faut calibrer cela.
Getting back to the ending of that first question, what are the 5 things, or a few things that people should focus on during this time where they may be susceptible to getting this virus or whatever?
Well, you would normally do the things you would do on a daily basis to invest in your health. No one should be taking their health for granted. So we should be investing in our health every day. There's a certain amount of water that we need to be drinking per our weight. And depending on who you listen to, it could be calculated in terms of ounces or liters. But that's important. Taking supplements and investing in your health. This is not because you're sick. We're talking about investing in your health to be optimal well. And there are many supplements out there you can take to help with your immune system. The number one, of course, would be vitamin C. But not all vitamin C products are alike. Many of the products over the counter are simply adulterated. So if you're going to be using supplements for your health, you need to get professional quality products.
Il faut voir
and then, of course,
des
you can do the things we've
produits
talked about to protect
professionnels de
yourself
très
from
haute
5G,
qualité.
getting the diodes. You can use the electromagnetic sleeping pads. You
Il faut avoir
can use the
systèmes
pulse electromagnetic
électromagnétiques
field. There's something
pour
else that I will
protéger.
mention
Il y a aussi
that
une autre
the
chose que je n'ai
audience
pas
should know
mentionnée,
about.
que je voudrais
Water, when
savoir.
we drink it,
L'eau,
is
lorsque
dead. It has no energy. So you
l'eau,
can run
quand
it through your filter system, reverse osmosis, but when you drink it, it's completely void of energy. Now, there is a book that was published a few years ago by a laboratory in Washington that focuses
il y a un
on
livre
water
qui est expliqué sur
research.
l'eau,
It's
qui fait
called
des
the fourth
la
phase
recherche.
of water. What
Les
that
4
means
phases
is
dans
that
l'eau.
water
C'est-à-dire que
has
l'eau
4 states:
a
a liquid, gas,
4 étapes,
solid,
liquide,
but it
gaz,
has an
solide,
electrical state.
et c'est
And its properties
un
are
état
different when it's
électronique.
electrified.
Et
Now, there are ways
donc,
by which
il y
you
a
can
des
electrify your
manières
water. I believe
comment on peut
exposing it to
électrifier
infrared radiation.
électrifier par les
You
infrarouges,
can
par des
use
radiations.
432
On peut
hertz, which is
utiliser
what the Renaissance was attuned to.
400
And there are also devices, we call them crystal blue
432
devices,
hertz.
but you
Et il
run
y a
the
aussi
water
des
through a
moyens.
vortex, expose it to certain minerals, and it
On-
energizes the water. So now you have
on
a source
peut
of energy you can
énergiser
use on a
l'eau.
daily
Et
basis.
si on prend ça sur chaque jour,
Ionized water?
comment on ionise
Yes, well, it would be
Ça
water
serait-
that's electric, meaning the electrons are separated from the protons, so it
C'est l'électron
has
séparé
a battery
des
effect. So
protons,
you need
ça,
this
c'est cet
battery
effet.
in order to
Donc, on a
recharge
besoin
and
de cette
recycle your
batterie pour
ATP,
recycler
which is your body's basic energy molecule.
l'énergie, les molécules de ton corps.
Wow, this is fascinating to me,
C'est
particularly
fascinant
because
pour
you know,
moi.
I grew up in the
parce que
States.
j'ai
We grew up
grandi
under Western
dans l'État
education,
avec
government
l'éducation
schooling, whatever the case may be. What, you know, this type of
occidentale, etc.
brainwashing,
Et
basically,
on
that the
m'a
nurse,
lavé le cerveau
you know,
avec
and the vaccines and
avec
you know,
les
you know,
vaccins,
whatever, and all these
les
shots are
infirmières,
good for you. This
etc.
kind of stuff. I grew up in
Et
that.
on fait des
You know,
piqûres. Et j'ai grandi
my father was
là-dedans.
free from
Mon
North
père a
Korea
été
by the
libre
U.S. forces, but
de,
we grew
en
up in the
Corée du
States
Nord. Mais il a
under
été
the system.
grandi dans
And I
cet
never really
état. Et
believed in
moi,
it. Like
j'ai
when I was
jamais
younger, they made me
cru
do
que j'étais-
acupuncture or something.
les gens, ils
And I
me
just never
donnent-
believed in
non,
it. Little
j'ai
pricks,
jamais cru en tout ça.
small acupuncture stuff.
De-
I never
l'acupuncture.
ever believed in it
Je ne
until I was in
croyais
my
pas ça.
20s and I'm living in South Korea.
Moi,
I'm
je
doing
connais
ministry
les
there
personnes qui
under
vivent en
true
Corée du
father,
Sud,
our father in our church.
de notre
And
père, notre église.
I get tremendous
j'ai-
sinusitis because all the smog in Seoul,
J'avais beaucoup
Korea,
de
in the city.
signes, de problèmes de sinus
Tremendous
avec,
smog, and
avec
I
les-
get
à
this
cause-
massive
à
sinusitis,
cause
huge
de
swelling, amazing migraines.
de la
I
pollution
can't even lift my
à
head up
Séoul.
off the ground,
Je pourrais
and
pas
it's just
lever ma
constant. It
tête.
does not
Et-
stop.
et ça
So
n'arrêtait
they
pas.
told me to get,
Donc, ils
go
m'ont
to the
dit
Samsung Hospital. All these are,
d'aller à l'hôpital
Princeton, Harvard,
des choses,
Yale, Korean doctors that
des
are trained in the
docteurs
West. They
de
come back.
Harvard,
They said,
etc.
everyone said
Et
I had to do
disaient,
surgery. They got to cut
il
out part of my nose,
il
and it's
fallait
not
qu'ils
even
me-
guaranteed it may come back.
Ils
Okay,
vont
so I
me
said,
faire une,
I'm not doing that.
non,
So
ils voulaient que je
eventually
fasse
we went, and there was this
opération
guy
chirurgicale. Non, je
that,
vais pas
you know,
faire
our
ça.
church friends knew,
Donc il y avait quelqu'un dans
and he
l'église
was
qui
a long needle acupuncturist.
qui faisait l'acupuncture.
My goodness, he had humongous needles.
Il avait
And
des
I had so much
aiguilles.
pain. I said, I'll try
J'avais
anything.
tellement mal.
He rammed those up my nose.
Ils m'ont mis dans mon nez.
And you know, multiple times.
Plusieurs
And
fois.
you know, just like fountains of blood start
Il
pouring
y a
out.
beaucoup de sang qui
And
partait.
It was better. The sinusitis
Ça allait mieux,
disappeared.
mais
I could not believe it. I could not believe it because I didn't even believe in this stuff.
je croyais
And
pas
I
à
could
ça,
not
mais
believe this pain.
je pensais
The
pas que
sinusitis disappeared.
ça avait
I said, "Oh my
disparu.
goodness, I can't
Et
believe this.
je
Is
crois-
crazy."
C'est fou, quoi.
And
Qu'est-ce
then
qui
I
se passe?
started, you know, on this whole journey
Et donc,
personally
j'ai vraiment fait
of getting back
un voyage
into this.
intérieur
And
pour
actually,
essayer
now
de
I
comprendre
love the
ces
long
choses.
needle acupuncture and
Et
alternative
maintenant, j'aime
medicine.
beaucoup
I do the ozone therapy. I do
l'acupuncture et
I do
les
the
thérapies
polar plunges.
alternatives.
We have our whole church doing like
Nous
the ice
avons-
plunging, you know, all the time and stimulate our immune system,
On
just natural things, and
stimule
like you said, vitamins,
le
minerals.
système
But this is very
immunitaire.
interesting with the
C'est très intéressant
electromagnetic
avec
pulse because our bodies
avec
are
la pulsion
electric
électromagnétique.
in energy.
C'est très important.
You know, there's just
Donc,
getting back
juste
on
maintenant pour
the
revenir,
topic of the situation
je
now.
veux, topic,
There are two major
il y a
philosophies.
deux
President
philosophies
Trump
principales.
wants to
Le
support
président
people's
Trump veut
freedom.
supporter la
And on the other
liberté
hand,
des
we have,
personnes.
generally
Et d'une
speaking,
autre
and
fois,
we
en parlant en
have
général,
Biden who wants tighter
qui
control
veut
of
avoir un
everything, and the
contrôle sur
left
toute
wants tighter
chose.
control of anything,
Ils
including
veulent,
your
la gauche
health.
veut
I
contrôler
mean, they're
même la
proposing
santé. Ils
a
proposent
COVID lockdown, mandatory mask
d'avoir
wearing, and mandatory
d'avoir un
vaccinations,
confinement
by the way, which is already happening in
obligatoire
South Korea.
avec
We
le
have
port
folks
du
in there.
masque
In South
obligatoire.
Korea, that
En
have
Corée,
been mandatory vaccinations been
c'est
forced
le
on
vaccin
people.
obligatoire. Ils l'ont
Already,
forcé.
there's
Et
over
déjà,
100 deaths
il y a
in
plusieurs
about a
centaines de
3-week
morts
period
à propos de ce
using this
vaccin.
Chinese quote,
à
vaccine.
cause de ce
What is your view on
vaccin
that,
chinois.
on that
Qu'est-ce que
whole
vous en pensez
forced kind of
sur cet aspect
vaccination,
de
this
forcer la
egregious
vaccination
outrageous violation of human rights. What is your view on that in general?
Quelle est votre vue là-dessus en
So
général?
let's back up a minute and let's put this in perspective. This so-called scamdemic virus called COVID-19 has a survival rate of 99.8%. Okay, so if you look at the people over 55, those are 95% of the cases where death would be at risk. Children are virtually zero at risk. So let's put that in perspective. Secondly, vaccines have problems, and the problems come with adjuvants. They put adjuvants in them, which are cancer-causing agents like aluminum, mercury, formaldehyde. They put them in there because the actual vaccine itself is not strong enough to create an immune response. So they have to add other things. The problem with creating a vaccine for this RNA virus is that humankind has never successfully made a vaccine for an RNA virus. So when they tested in the animals, as they did after SARS-1 back in 2005, 2 years later after the virus came out, they killed all of the rabbits that they tested. And they did this after they vaccinated them and re-exposed them to the virus. So the concern that we have is if we're not seeing the virus now, which is allegedly a bioweapon, and they release it later after you've been vaccinated, you'll actually be more vulnerable once you've been vaccinated and have actually developed antibodies. Then you'll have a cytokine storm and die. If you want to see the trial run for this, look at Dingvaxia that was funded by Bill Gates and produced by Sanofi, the French company, in the Philippines. It was designed to protect children, let's say between the ages of 5 and 9, who are most at risk for Dingvaxia from mosquitoes. The problem was they did not adequately vaccinate them. And when they got exposed to the real thing, they had a cytokine storm and died. They killed hundreds of children, made thousands more vulnerable. Here's the issue. When you give someone a vaccine, one of two things will happen if you develop antibodies. You can develop what we call Th1, which are the correct antibodies, or Th2. But there's a third way. Th2, of course, are the antibodies you don't want that result in the cytokine storm. But if you don't adequately vaccinate someone, let's say they develop T1 inadequately, they can switch to T2. Now, there is a way to vaccinate people safely. This is something we're doing in our office. You can harvest dendritic cells from the blood. You can expose it to what we call a spike protein and then give it back to the patients. They will develop natural antibodies without side effects. And we've proven that this works so far 100% with our patients. We've even re-exposed them to the virus by giving them booster doses and been able to bring the antibodies back. So these people are actually protected. Here's the interesting part. We believe that this can also be done through oral capsules. So if we have the machinery, we can develop a dendritic cell line. We can put in a capsule. All you have to do is get the dendritic cells in the blood through a liposomal capsule. And you should be able to develop antibodies. If this works, which we believe it will, that means that no one really needs to be receiving an injection for vaccination. All vaccines can be done this way. What we're doing, this dendritic cell protocol, is not unheard of. It's been done many times for maybe as many as 300 cancer vaccine clinical trials. So this is well-known technology throughout the world. We're just using it for a different purpose, and we're doing it autologously for our patients.
Well, you have, for example, you had in front of the White House or the Congress building in D.C., you had a gathering of dozens and dozens of doctors, I guess under the American Medical Association, in their white jackets, and they're all saying COVID, this is not enough to lock down the entire country. All that was not even covered by the media. They were long-time practitioners under the AMA saying that they have treated all their patients, hundreds per doctor, and everybody's cured. And yet the media would not cover it. Now we know that under the Obama administration, the FDA was led by somebody who had come from Monsanto. And I can't remember his name, but he was connected the FDA to Monsanto, bioengineering, etc. There is talk about these vaccines that are now coming out, more deadly cocktails, that can manipulate your DNA. What does that mean? Have you heard of anything like that? What does that mean? What does that entail in terms of repercussions we have on our body?
So it's an interesting question. I had a guest on my radio show who was a certified and trained FEMA consultant. And back in 2018, FEMA participated in an extinction level event. Now, I'm not sure why they would even contemplate something like that. What that means is they're planning on 90% of the population being eliminated. The most efficient way of doing that, of course, is with vaccination. So we could be looking at what's called a silent war. We're not using bombs. We're not using chemical warfare. We're using vaccinations. What could potentially happen, because we have over 170 companies that are working on producing this vaccine, and they're going to have something in common that they can put in there in order to be able to document or determine that you've been vaccinated, because we don't think they really care about making antibodies. The FDA has said as long as the vaccine is less than, or not less than 30% effective, it will be approved. So they're not looking for a high success rate. They're simply looking to vaccinate everyone. Now, the concern is there are many things that can be put in the vaccines, as there currently are, such as adjuvants. There is something that can be put in the vaccine that people are concerned about that could merge or modify your DNA and make you what some people refer to as transhuman. What that means is they would be able then to monitor you biologically and influence you, and they could probably do it from space. The technology was developed over 10 years ago by a professor at Harvard, who interestingly enough was arrested earlier this year for allegedly selling bioweapon secrets to Chinese bioweapon terrorists. But he developed a virus that acts as an antenna in your cells, and that antenna can then be controlled by remote, and you could use it for good purposes, but you can also use it for nefarious purposes. So if you, let's say, we're vaccinated and we're a disobedient citizen, you could be eliminated by space, by remote control, by any means that they choose.
À travers l'espace, vous contrôlez complètement.
C'est intéressant. So the human modification of the DNA that potentially could be in these things could be certain chemicals, could be certain products that can be traced. And I guess wherever you would go, they will be able to know where you potentially could go. Anyways, it may have those kind of implications. Is that what you're saying? Am I understanding that?
Est-ce que c'est ça que vous voulez dire?
Yes, it's not a matter of just being able to track you. It's a matter of being able to influence you.
De vous tracer, mais de vous influencer.
Donc, it would make you part of an AI system. In artificial intelligence. So when we say transhuman, it's making you something other than human, where they're gathering data for who knows what alleged purpose. But we do know that once, if it's a virus they're injecting that creates the antenna, that we do know you can be influenced by remote control. And we believe that the social distancing is really designed to identify you from space for this very type of control.
Et c'est pour ça qu'il demande la distance sociale, c'est pour vous influencer. Depuis
1969, I believe what it said, Yale University, there were scientists that were able to, through, I guess, electromagnetic waves is what they were using at the time. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a doctor. But I remember seeing a study that they were able to change the behavior of people simply by turning a dial. And you could have the patient would play the guitar frantically, the person would become sad and depressed, and the person would become excitable, depending on, and these is from out of Yale University in the late 1960s, they had this type of technology. The problem with any of these things, and transhuman in general and AI in general, I mean, you may have this technology, they always sell it as something good, we'll be able to have superpowers, we'll have super abilities to read the internet just by thought, etc. But isn't it dangerous if certain elitist peoples and certain governments can be able to read your thoughts, can be able to track you, you can never get away from their grid system. And isn't it dangerous if this is going to be used for military purposes, which 100% they will, they're already interested in it, in making super soldiers, etc., and all these kind of things. This transhumanist movement, Ray Kurzweil, Klaus Schwab, all these crazy people that are saying that, don't worry, it's innocuous, it's harmless, it's not going to hurt you. Isn't it ripe for abuse and in terms of being used to control or even, as some people say, potentially even hurt or harm or destroy massive swaths of the human population?
Well, if you consider that there are people in this world that believe that there's a certain set number that's optimal for our planet, and that number hovers around 500 million, that means they need to get rid of 7 billion people. You can never do that with a war, so they have to use other means. But I think we always have to be guarded and careful when we're giving up our control of any kind, whether it's our bodies or our guns or anything else. We need to be able to exercise control over what is ours.
Dr. Royale, we were talking about masks. What is your view on masks? Are they good or are they bad?
Well, it depends on the purpose for which you're wearing the mask. If you're wearing a cloth mask, they are 0% effective. If you're wearing a surgical mask, it might be 38% effective. If you're wearing, let's say, an N95 mask, it might be 95% effective. The problem is you're breathing your own CO2. And in some ways, it has a nefarious purpose because we can't express our joy, we can't share our joy. But there are studies going back to 1975, 1981, and that were subsequently affirmed many times that wearing a mask during surgery actually increased the infection rate of the patients than when not wearing a mask in surgery. So this is something science should have investigated and figured out, which they haven't done to this day because it's counterintuitive, but the facts remain.
C'est l'infection des gens.
So does that mean that
donc ça veut dire que
people who are wearing masks excessively, that could be harmful for your health, and you may even give yourself a bacterial infection? Is that possible?
Ça peut vous donner une infection bactérielle? C'est vrai?
Well, let's back up just for a minute. If you have a problem with your brain, let's say your brain is shrinking, one of the only known treatments to help improve that is to increase oxygen and blood supply to your brain. If you are breathing CO2, you're going to have the opposite effect. So it's possible that you might actually be shrinking your own brain by denying yourself oxygen, or basically the free air that God gave us to breathe.
Amazing. Incredible. That is unbelievable, especially with the mass mandates that may be coming down on us. Now, just real quick before you go, homeopathy. How can homeopathy help treat viruses, bacteria, etc.?
Traiter les virus, etc.
Well, let's understand that medicine has no treatment for viruses. This is why they seem to panic and recommend and impose vaccinations upon everyone. That's their way of treating a virus, but of course that approach has side effects. Our number one recommendation for people who are trying to stay healthy during this so-called pandemic is to use homeopathic flu medicine. We have viral treatments in homeopathic medicines for all viruses. You can take a homeopathic flu medicine, let's say once a week as a preventive, and then every hour if you get the symptoms, and until the viral symptoms have abated. That's very simple, very effective, and very inexpensive way to go.
Et c'est pas très cher.
How would we obtain such a homeopathic flu medicine?
So these are over the counter, and there's many different companies that produce them. One of the most common is oscillococcinum, made from duck liver by boron. This one's very effective. I never traveled anywhere in the world without it.
Wow,
that's a mouthful to say, but we have it on film, so we'll play it back. And folks that are interested, please look into that. How do people, anyway, such incredible information that you're giving, and of course I want to look into personally more into this electromagnetic healing paths, etc. Where can people find the things that you're talking about? Can we find it on your website, and what would that website be?
Dans vos websites.
Well, we have a simple website. It's just the name of our clinic, turtlehealingbandclinic.com. We're here in Las Vegas, turtlehealingbandclinic.com. If they're looking to find the licensing board, First Nation Medical Board.com. Both of those are under the jurisdiction with the Crow Tribe of Indians in Montana.
Donc on va essayer Turtle.
Thank you so much, Dr. Royale, for talking with us this morning and giving us some insight into at least another perspective on this pandemic that's happening. We just hope that this craziness, this lockdowns, they stop, people resist it, because if we don't, we will become North Korea, we will become Venezuela, we will become all these communist countries where we have absolutely no freedom. So God bless you, sir, and thank you for the work that you are doing and the healing that you're doing. Sounds very interesting, and the information you provide today. Folks, we'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Mes amis, on se revoit juste après cette pause. Au revoir.